Thank you for joining the webinar. To anyone who has joined us early, we'll be starting the webinar just after 1 p.m. Please note that you'll be on mute for the duration of the webinar, and if you have any technical difficulties, please contact myself as the host via the Q&A box. Thank you for joining the webinar. To anyone who has joined us early, we'll be starting the webinar just after 1 p.m. Please note that you'll be on mute for the duration of the webinar, and if you have any technical difficulties, please contact myself as the host via the Q&A box. Thank you for joining the webinar. We'll be starting just after 1 p.m. to allow the last couple of people to dial in. Please note that you'll be on mute for the duration of the webinar, and if you have any technical difficulties, please contact myself as the host via the Q&A box.
Afternoon everyone. I'm delighted to welcome you all to the launch of our latest salary guide. By way of a brief introduction, I am Akash Marwaha. I've worked for Hayes for 20 years and I am the Managing Director for our Scottish business. I will now talk you through the findings of our 2018 Salary and Recruiting Trends Guide. If you have any questions, then please use the Q&A button and any questions will be picked up at the end of the webinar. This is the fourth year we have produced our UK guide, covering over 9,000 salaries across 12 specialist areas throughout the UK. It is based on salary information provided by 1,900 recruiting experts from our 94 UK offices. As well as using our own extensive insight to inform the guide, we also launched a survey designed to ascertain employee satisfaction, employers' concerns, and gather general insight into the market. This secured around 17,500 responses from employers and employees. To start, let the scene be quick. Let's recap on last year's findings. In 2016, prior to the EU referendum, 62% of organisations expected their business activity to increase. 73% said they were planning to recruit. There was a 1.8% average salary increase, and 62% of employees were considering moving jobs. However, against a backdrop of continued economic and political uncertainty, and in the face of an increasingly tight labour market, we are here to look at how the employment market is faring today. Let's take a look at what our results showed in more detail. Let's start with the positives. Employers are optimistic about the market and their businesses. In the year following the EU referendum, there's been a slight increase in the number of employers predicting growth. It was 62% last year, 57% immediately following the referendum, and 59% this year. Reassuringly, the vast majority continue to expect activity to increase or stay the same. However, the number of employers expecting their activity to decrease has dropped compared to figures following the vote and even when compared to last year. Before the referendum in 2016, 6% expected activity to decrease. This rose to 7% immediately following the vote, before dropping to 5% in 2017. On the whole, organisations actually believe that activity levels will either increase or stay the same. That's 94% pre-referendum, 93% post, and 95% in 2017. This shows hardly any change overall, which is a very positive indicator about the overall health of the UK economy. Although there is obviously ongoing uncertainty, employers' business outlook remains robust. From a Scotland perspective, compared to last year, a slightly higher percentage of employers in Scotland expect their organisation's activity to increase this year, and the percentage who expect a decrease is lower than last year. When compared to the UK average, the same number of employers in Scotland expect activity levels to increase. Slightly fewer expect activity to stay the same, with slightly more than the overall average expecting a decrease in activity. Reflecting this continued business confidence, employers' plans for recruitment and investing in their people strategies have grown. We looked at organisations' plans to recruit over the coming 12 months, and positively, almost 3/4 nationwide stated that they were planning to recruit over the coming 12 months. This is higher than after the referendum and almost equal to the figure of 73% prior to the vote. In Scotland, a lower percentage of 63% of employers say they plan to recruit in the next year. Hiring clearly remains a top priority for employers, who aren't reacting to the wider uncertainty by cutting their recruitment. Of those employers looking to hire, 59% state that they plan to hire permanent staff and 29% plan to hire temporary, interim and contract professionals. Looking at Scotland in more detail, 47% of employers say they plan to hire permanent staff and 32% plan to hire temporary professionals. Despite this positive outlook, are employers charging ahead with both business and hiring plans? They are faced with huge recruitment challenges. In fact, we may be currently in one of the toughest recruitment markets in recent years. Let's take a look at what our results showed in more detail. Let's start with the maybe obvious but still pertinent point regarding skill shortages. Skill shortages are ever present and intensifying, and as we'll see here shortly, impacting on more than just hiring plans. The majority of employers still don't believe they have the talent needed to achieve their current business objectives. It is also evident that these skill shortages are having a significant impact on organisations and are likely to continue to do so. 70% of employers stated that they have experienced moderate to extreme skill shortages, and of these, 15% labelled them as extreme. Only 6% of employers stated that they have not experienced any skill shortages at all. In fact, 77% of all UK employers say that a shortage of suitable candidates is their #1 recruitment challenge, and employers from across all specialist areas are being impacted. Similar to last year, the majority of employers in Scotland also say that the shortage of suitable applicants is their top recruitment challenge for the coming year, with 69% stating this. The skill shortages are attributed to problems with both the attraction and retention of talent. Over half of employers believe that high competition for talent within their sector or industry is fueling shortages. This highlights the importance of investing in your employer brand in order to better compete for talent. Employers need to make sure they stand out with a distinct offering that will appeal specifically to the type of candidates they require. Taking a deeper dive, we can see that leadership and managerial skills are most in demand by employers, followed by technical skill sets and projects and change management and administrative experience. For those employers looking for skill sets that typically come with experience, looking to other approaches to hiring may be pertinent during skill short times. For example, hiring temporary, contract or interim workers may hold the answer to filling skill gaps in the short term in order to meet peaks in demand. Greater investment in development and training in order to hire and consequently upskill more junior candidates or apprentices should be considered. For the first time, we also asked what employers believe is most affected by these skill shortages. Unfortunately, such predominant skills gaps are already having far-reaching consequences and have the potential to severely restrict future plans, not just those relating to hiring. Particularly given the UK's poor productivity performance recently, it's important to note that 59% of employers state that skill shortages are already impacting on productivity. 30% also state that it has affected growth plans, 27% business development plans, and 25% have seen it impact their revenue. Not only are productivity and growth plans being affected, but organisations are now realising the full impact of skill shortages on their employees and understanding that they put their staff under significant pressure. Employers are faced with a double-edged sword, as not only are business objectives being challenged, but employees are feeling under pressure. 41% recognise that employee morale is being negatively impacted by skill shortages, and 16% state that there has been an increase in absenteeism due to stress. This correlates to the employee findings surrounding work-life balance, whereby 44% of professionals nationwide rate theirs as very poor to average. Given that over a quarter of employees value work-life balance most when considering a new role, addressing this could be a strong attraction tool for employers, yet only 15% of employers view it as important in order to attract staff. There are additional mismatches in the benefits that employees deem important compared to the benefits employers offer, which further compound the issue. For example, 64% of employees state that receiving over 25 days of annual leave is important to them, but only 45% of employers offer this benefit. Similarly, flexible working is rated as important for 61% of employees, yet only 50% of employers offer this. In such short-skilled times, progressive employers should consider and enact policies conducive to greater work-life balance for their employees in order to be seen as an employer of choice and attract top talent. To address the immediate problem of skill shortages, 39% of employers are looking to temporary and contract staff. Furthermore, a quarter of employers are increasing their use of recruitment agencies. 24% are recruiting apprentices, and a fifth are implementing mentoring programs in order to better attract candidates and upskill their current workforce. Specific to Scotland, the use of temporary and contract staff to address skill shortages is higher than the overall UK average. Such mismatches in expectations of benefits are causing dissatisfaction amongst workers. This is being exacerbated by a lack of salary increases, which is creating further discontent. The average salary increase in the UK has been 1.8%, on a par with last year. However, this is below inflation, and it is generally only jobs in areas of skill shortages that have seen significant increases. For example, 13% of IT professionals and 10% of construction and property professionals received pay rises of over 5% last year. Looking at the picture regionally, salary increases were above the overall UK average at 2.2%. 57% of professionals say they are dissatisfied with their salaries, a slight increase from 55% last year. Of those who say they are considering leaving their current organisation over the next 12 months, 32% say it is due to their salary level. With fewer employees looking to move jobs this year, employers may yet again be forced to increase salaries in order to attract skilled candidates. In Scotland, slightly fewer employees cite salary and benefits as their main reason for wanting to leave their current role. However, the percentage is still significant at 28%. In what has been a whistle-stop tour of some of our key survey findings, I'll just take a few moments now to summarise the key findings of our report. First, we have seen that despite the wider economic uncertainty caused by the UK's decision to leave the EU, employer confidence and activity for the year ahead remains positive. As a result of forecasted activity, recruitment remains a top priority for most organisations, with a particular focus on hiring permanent employees. However, acute skill shortages look set to be the key challenge for employers. Not only may these affect recruitment plans, but they may also impact productivity and employee morale. In order to meet business objectives and alleviate pressure on staff, many employers will hire temporary professionals. In such a skill-short landscape, employers need to consider how best to attract and retain top talent, and it is clear that in addition to salary and benefit packages, a positive work-life balance is important to the majority of candidates. Now let's look at what we recommend for employers during the year ahead. Firstly, we recommend that you make workforce planning a key strategic priority. Despite the positive sentiment that we see from organisations with regards to their current activity and plans, employers are concerned about the impact that skill shortages are having on productivity and growth. Workforce planning needs to be a core component of every business strategy and at the top of the agenda. Understanding the range of workforce solutions available and considering the most appropriate options Factoring elements beyond just immediate people needs, but also risk mitigation and cost management, will help employers to put in place the most effective strategies for both the short and long term. This will enable employers to mitigate the effects of the skill shortages while continuing to meet their ambitious activity targets. Secondly, invest in your employer brand to compete for talent. Ensuring that you have a strong employer brand has never been more essential given how prevalent the skill shortages are. Competition for candidates has intensified, and employers should target their offering to appeal to the specific type of candidate they want to attract. Having a strong employee value proposition is central to this. Salary levels need to be benchmarked accurately and positioned correctly. Then progression opportunities and training investment need to be publicised. Employees want to be able to get an insight into what it is truly like to work at that organisation, so they can assess whether they might be a strong fit with its culture. More employees are actively seeking this information, so employers need to ensure they have a transparent message that is easily accessible online. Finally, utilise contingent workers for more than just projects. Employers' drive for growth is putting significant pressure on the workplace, which is fueling employee dissatisfaction and damaging morale. Given that skill shortages are so high, employers risk putting so much pressure on existing staff that absenteeism continues to increase and staff retention becomes an issue. Employers should reconsider their approach to hiring temporary workers. Whereas traditionally temporary contract and interim workers have been used to supplement projects where specific skill sets are required or to meet peaks in demand, they could be used to a greater extent to help alleviate some of the pressure from the increased workload. This will help to ensure growth plans can be sustained and targets met, while improving the job satisfaction of permanent employees. Thank you. I will now open the floor to any questions. Okay, so first question in. There has been little overall change in salary increases in the last year. Do you think salaries will increase in the year ahead? Quite a difficult question to answer. Obviously, there's still an element of uncertainty, and the full outcome of Brexit is still a little unclear. It's therefore probably difficult to predict how salaries will change in the next 12 months. But what is evident is that skill shortages create wage pressure, so professionals in areas of skill shortages can continue to enjoy significant salary increases, as we talked about earlier. Within construction and in IT, we saw salary increases up to 5%, and in some cases we've even seen salary increases up to about 10% locally here in Scotland. So I suppose on the whole it's imperative to look at other ways to attract and retain workers. And we talked about some of those ideas in the presentation around training and development opportunities. Okay. Okay, another question in. With such acute skill shortages, what can employers do to overcome these? We focused on some of that stuff in the presentation, but I think that companies really need to look hard at the training that they're offering. I think upskilling and reskilling of the current workforce is absolutely critical to ensure they've got the skills and the tools needed to meet any business requirements or any changes in business goals. Good training will also help you be able to hire more junior employees to maybe try and fill some of that skill gap, and then we can try and upskill those individuals to deal with some of the issues that we've got and fulfil some of those roles. Also, training will help in terms of promoting the brand, the employer brand, and we know that it's a big attraction for certain generations like Generation Z. Okay. We find recruitment of new people difficult for temporary contracts. Would salary need to be higher for temp roles? Look, I think skill shortages exist across whether it's permanent or temporary or interim staff, and obviously most contractors are in work, and in order to attract those type of people, it's the same issues and same challenges when it comes to permanent work. Obviously benefits aren't as big an issue, but rate of pay, quality of work, length of project is absolutely critical. What benefits other than flexi time and additional annual leave can we offer staff to retain and attract talent? I think that when we did the What Workers Want guide, I think 3 or 4 months ago, one of the things that we talked about at the time is that we normally find that employers now are adopting a suite of benefits where employees can pick and choose certain benefits that that they can utilise for their lifestyle. You know, long gone are the days where you offer annual leave and a pension and a cycle to work scheme, and the reality is that a suite of benefits where individuals can dip in and dip out is really, really important, whether it be you know, voucher schemes, whether it be retail benefits where they get discounts on certain retail products. These things are really, really important to individuals now. I'm getting a flurry of questions now. Right. Okay. Training is fine, but as a contractor, it's not going to happen through a company. What skills do I need to improve to keep in the 20% of the market? Yeah, I mean, look, people that look for interim staff and contract staff, they're looking for individuals who already have the relevant skills to come in and do the job. Training is not really offered to those individuals because they're hiring that talent to fill that skills gap. So it's unlikely that you know, unless you are actually physically taking any form of development on yourself, that you're going to get that type of support from an organisation. Okay, what is the average salary for an architectural technician with 6 years experience within the same company and over 10 out with? Okay, in terms of that specific question, I would like to pass it on to my managing consultant who looks after architecture in Glasgow, because he can talk in a little bit more detail about the salaries. So if the individual who asked that question wants to send me a message directly, I'll be happy to pass that on to the relevant consultant to pick up. Will this information be available in hard copies like previous years? Yes, it will, and I'll go on to talk about that in my final slide. Okay. I'll give it another minute, see if anyone's got any more questions. If not, then I'll finish off. Okay, thank you very much. Hope you found today's session a useful insight into how the UK economy, employment and recruitment are faring, and thank you all for attending our webinar today. If you would like to request a copy of our guide, please speak to your usual contact or complete the form on our webpage, and we'd be delighted to look in more detail at what help your organisation might need over the coming year. Thank you very much.